Yeah, I'm still trying to work out which person you were referring to.
I'll have a look now. An ex-soldier applied for post in Iraq.
Oh, right, yeah. That's right. No.
Needed to neg test result, got positive result, was led to believe he had become infected about 1987. Yeah, that's the one. He was put on Septrin, and then his CD4 count declined. With ARVs, has been sick ever since and lost one eye because of Stocrin. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, you're probably familiar with antiretroviral. It was the one called Stocrin.
I'm not actually.
Well, in the package insert, it states that's among the list of side effects. There can be problems with vision.
Right, and that was the case with this chap?
Yes. No, what was interesting was he's been a soldier for something like 25 years and has been retired for a number of years. And then about 3 years ago, he applied for a post in Iraq to be security guard. And in order to get the post, he needed to qualify. And in that process, he had to have what's referred to as an HIV test. He didn't think there'd be any problem. He's been married twice over the years and had 7 children. Nobody in those 2 families has got sick, least of all him. And the result for the HIV test came back positive. He didn't get the job. He was devastated, but he was still healthy. And he was advised to keep coming back to the clinic for a series of tests, including CD4 testing and, CD4 testing among them. And over a period of about 4 months, the CD4 count had come down, and at the same time, they put him, he was completely healthy, they put him on Septrin as a prophylactic that's supposed to prevent defining illnesses. And then, after 4 months, his CD4 count was observed to be coming down. And he considered that it was the Septrin that was causing the CD4 count to decline. And then when it came down sufficiently, I think it was after 4 months, the doctors took him off Septrin and put him on antiretrovirals. This was about 10 months after his initial diagnosis. And since then, and up to the point where I first met him and interviewed him 18 months ago, he'd been constantly sick and even lost the sight in one eye. Now, we've had plenty of conversations about this. Do you think that he'd be reluctant to continue taking antiretrovirals based on his own observations and testimony? But he has continued to take them.
Like many people do.
Maybe, yes. Maybe he's complained of stomach problems, sleeping problems, weight, weight redistribution, and fatigue. But he's continued to take antiretrovirals since the time he was put on them, about 2 years ago now. And I just repeat, he's had 2 marriages and 7 children, and none has been sick since the time when he's supposed to have been infected, which, according to the post-test counselling conversation, would have been in the late 1980s.
Yeah.
That was the last time he had a sexual encounter with someone who he doesn't have contact with anymore.
Is another casualty.
Yeah, and And similarly, there's another man, albeit a younger man, I've known for several years. People are often private about their diagnoses, and this young man didn't tell me that he himself was a patient, despite all the conversations we'd had, until 3 or 4 years after we'd met. And he doesn't feel comfortable telling people in case his friends and relatives find out.
Fair enough.
And his brothers and sisters. So when he eventually told me that he was an AIDS patient, he had also been taking antiretrovirals for about 6 years. And he can question everything he believed about HIV and AIDS today, and yet he continues to take the antiretrovirals, even though there was a 2-year period in between where he didn't take any antiretrovirals because they weren't affordable. There was a time when his sister used to send them from Britain to him because they were free here. But then when the supplies ran out, he couldn't afford to buy them in Uganda. He went without for 2 years. And yet he experienced no changes in his health whatsoever. So you would think that this would provide evidence for him to consider whether he should continue taking them for the rest of his life. But he's still taking them.
I think we have to accept the fact that some people are thick and do not think. I can't come to any other conclusion about these people. You know,
I think
it's to lead the horse to water, but you can't make it.
I don't think it's because they're thick. I think it's because they've been indoctrinated for too long, and when they fall into this situation of being a patient, they end up in a situation where they're vulnerable to the people who say that they're trying to save their lives.
The thing is, go on, yeah?
Yeah, no, I think I've finished.
You know, not everyone can be indoctrinated. You haven't been, I haven't been, or not to a great extent anyway. And yet we've all grown up in environments where we've been assaulted by the media, via TV and radio, popular culture, and we still question things. Maybe most people don't. So it's hard for me to forgive people for not thinking. You know, I don't understand the mass hypnosis or why people want to not wake up. It's like a disease. They just want to be asleep.
It is.
They just want to be asleep because it's too painful to wake up from the dream. And we're all trying to get people to wake up. And some are, but not many.
No. That's also my frustration.
Yeah, but I think I heard it on some podcast show that only a small percentage of people is necessary to change a whole nation. I think the example I heard was, I think 2 to 6% of Americans led the revolution against the British in the first place.
Oh, right, 3%.
Was it?
Yeah.
I knew it was between 2 and 6%. So really, we don't have to wake up everyone, but we have to wake up. We have to wake up enough people. Let's say 3%.
Yeah.
So maybe we won't be as frustrated if we look at it in that way.
Yeah, at least that's positive.